What is up, guys? Son Jetzu here, and today I have a fun video for you guys. I wanted to go ahead and put out the most fantastical, craziest settings that a Total War game could inhabit, but more than likely won't because of how crazy and fantastical it is. Now, I wanted to go ahead and say this is not a top 5 list, so none of these are actually ranked. I just wanted to go ahead and throw some ideas out there, and then you guys can let me know in the comment section below what are some of the ones that I had missed, or which ones would be the craziest that you can think of. And for this list, guys, I'm not focusing on sci-fi, so those Star Wars, Star Trek, Halo, 40K, all that stuff, I'm not going to be focusing on this list. I'm focusing strictly on fantasy, mainly focused on sword and shield and horses and stuff like that. But I will have another video talking about the craziest sci-fi settings that I can think of. But there are certain settings that I don't think are that crazy, like say Star Wars, that I would want to make a separate video on later on, kind of talking about my ideas on it and letting you guys know what exactly I feel about that. Also for this list, the Elder Scrolls world, Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, even Warcraft. Those essentially, I feel like the ones that I can hit the nail on the head. Those are the ones that I don't think are crazy, and I would like to make videos on them also later on. So they're not going to be on this list. So if those are not on the list, then you can only imagine what's on there. But first, I wanted to go ahead and talk about Narnia. Now, Narnia itself, I've read the book, the actual first book, Chronicles of Narnia. And I've watched the movie. I watched the Prince Caspian movie long time ago when I was younger, and I mean it has basically all the building blocks of what a Total War setting could have. It has armies, soldiers, factions, kingdoms, all that sort of thing. But some of the things that are kind of strange about the book that would be hard to implement in a Total War game is, first of all, you have these kids that are coming from the real world, from what seems to be 19th century, 18th century London or Britain. And so you'd have to find a way to incorporate them inside the Narnia game. And so that's the first hurdle, I think. Then you would have armies that are filled with magical creatures or just regular creatures like bears and stuff. And that's, in and of itself, that's kind of that's kind of complicated in my opinion. And then of course you have its appeal. Not many people are going to be throwing out money, big money, $60 for a whole game of Narnia. At least I don't think so. I wouldn't, honestly. I mean, if it was Total War, because I essentially buy every Total War game that I can get my hands on, then maybe. But for the most part, no, I don't think I would have that appeal to it, but who knows? I mean, I was skeptical about Warhammer, and now I love the franchise. So anyway, that's going to be Narnia. And then the next thing I have is Attack on Titan. For those of you guys who don't know Attack on Titan, Attack on Titan is an anime where these huge creatures attack a giant, almost like a mega city that's the size of a country. They break through layers of walls, and their whole purpose is to eat the people that are inside the city. Now, I've only seen season 1, or the entirety of season 1. So I haven't read any of the manga. So the season 2 is coming out in March, I think, May. So I'm gonna wait for the rest of the story there. So don't spoil anything for me if you know what's going on. But as far as I know from season 1, if you were to make a Total War game on this, first of all, yeah, it sounds like nonsense because you really don't have factions. You have less of what would make Narnia, an actual viable game. But when I was playing Rome 2 back in the day, and Attila, they had these mods called giant mods where you can make the individual soldiers into giants. And you can make, and actually in Rome 2, I think they made giants themselves, like look all giantish and stuff with clubs and stuff like that. So it was possible just to see that from a battle perspective. So the way you would make the game is one player would have control of the Titans, the other player would have control of the people, and you would have to break through each wall to get to the very center. I know, thinly laid out gameplay mechanics, but this is crazy. This is the craziest anime in an anime. This is the craziest fantasy settings for a Total War game. So take it or leave it. The next one I have for you guys is, this is a total of 5, by the way. The next one I have for you guys is Magic the Gathering. Now, Magic the Gathering is probably one of my favorite fantasy settings because I was really into the card game for a very, very long time. And so with that said, the card game actually focuses on multi-dimensional settings, fantasy lands, but similarly you have the same sort of spellcasters, the same sort of hero characters. It's been a while since I played, but like Garuk, Jace, those kind of characters. You guys know what I mean. If you guys play Magic together, and you know who I'm talking about. So I think it would be interesting to see a game because of those characters themselves are sort of like legendary lords for the most part. So those characters would be interesting to see, and I think would be pretty well fulfilled in a Total War setting. But the problem is that there's just so many different worlds. To pick one that you want to go ahead and make a game on is going to be really, really hard in my opinion. So that's the reason that it probably will never get made, but I wanted to go ahead and add on this list for craziest fantasy settings. And of course the next one is going to be Avatar: The Last Airbender or Legend of Korra. You can literally start from Avatar: The Last Airbender and go all the way to the end of Legend of Korra. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about the Nickelodeon cartoon. It's not an anime, it's just a regular cartoon, but it was, in my opinion, one of my favorite cartoons of all time. It's just so good with its lore and its writing. Very, very good in my opinion. And so it would be actually pretty easy, but the only thing is you'd have to give each individual soldier an element to bend, and so you'd have to go back to matched combat, definitely, just like Shogun 2 and Rome 2 and Attila. And then you would have to have them be able to perform fire bending, earth bending, water bending, and then one of your legendary lord characters could be the Avatar himself. It can start from the Avatar: The Last Airbender times all the way to Legend of Korra, which is a lot more in the future, with you can have mechs and metal benders and all this crazy stuff, metal bending armies. So it's just ripe for a Total War game. It's crazy, it's outlandish, and it will never be done, but I think it's pretty interesting to think about, and that's just my take on it. And it's got just a rich history, a rich map that you can exploit. So I think that's probably one of the best, but better bets when it comes to a crazy fantasy setting. And the next or last one that I have here for you guys, I guess I did kind of do this in a top 5 fashion, but and I kind of did rank them sort of in my mind, but this one I think would be more than likely the one to be made the most. Harry Potter. You hear me out, guys, before you guys are like, hell no, son Jetzu, you've lost your goddamn mind. What are you talking about, Harry Potter? Well, Harry Potter itself is going to be hard to implement in a Total War game, mainly because you'd have to incorporate different factions of wizards. The majority of your units will be wizards. You'd have to have there are other creatures in there, like suits of armor that kind of just walk on their own. You'd have trolls, you have werewolves, you'd have centaurs, so you'd have different factions that you could implement in there that kind of seem like a Total War game. The biggest problem, in my opinion, would be probably figuring out what map to use, because we don't, and I mean, unless you guys know where it is, I haven't seen it yet, a actual map of the Harry Potter wizarding world. I don't know where one would be. I've never seen one before, so I don't know exactly where Hogwarts is, as compared to Diagon Alley and the business place where all the wizards go. Where one of my favorite movies, the climax took place, I think, The Order of the Phoenix #5. But why can't I think of the name of that? Anyway, so yeah, I mean, that would probably be one of the biggest hurdles. When it comes to magic, though, Warhammer has already shown that it can do magic, and do magic well. So I don't see that as a real big hurdle, in my opinion, when it comes to that. I mean, finding a way to incorporate the real world with the Harry Potter wizarding world, because they are, connected in a way, that would be also hard. Very similar hurdles like Narnia would have. And then, I think that this would be probably the biggest one that CA would see some profit from, because Harry Potter is really big right now. Harry Potter movies finished, a couple years back, but we have the Fantastic Beasts. Apparently, that's going to be, I don't even know. I heard like 8 movies or something like that. I don't even know how long that's going to be. But yeah, we have Fantastic Beasts. We have other Harry Potter stuff happening right now. The Pottermore site just landed. My wife actually loves Harry Potter, so for a Harry Potter Total War game, she'd probably actually play the game, to try to figure it out and stuff like that, and have some fun with it. So, anyway, guys, those are my craziest fantasy settings that I can think of. So let me know in the comment section below what crazy fantasy setting I might have left out, or that you think would be pretty fun to see in a Total War game. Just even if it's the slightest bit that it can even be, kind of like my Attack on Titans and my Magic the Gatherings. If it's the slightest bit that it can be a Total War game, put it in the comment section below. I think let's have some fun with this. Drop me a like if you like what I'm saying. If you like the video, please drop me a like. It helps my channel a lot. And as always, guys, if you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button. Helps me out a lot. This is going to be Jetzu signing off.